Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to the 75th episode of the Welsh Yogi podcast. Today we're going to be continuing our series of analysing the Nectar of Instruction, an ancient Bhakti Yoga text that describes the science of spiritual life. The text originally was written by Srila Rupa Goswami and has been translated and explained by Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement. Today we're diving into the third verse, covering the first segment of the purport. We also discuss Varnashram and devotee farm communities, as well as a live enactment of the story of Haridas Thakura and the prostitute. We're hoping to continue with regular episodes throughout 2025 and beyond, with at least one episode per week. So without further ado, here's the episode.
Welcome to the Welsh Yogi podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Welsh episode. The Welsh Yogi podcast episode 75. Season 2, episode 2. We're here on Tuesday morning in the roof space of Bayview House, and we're thinking about diving deep into the Nectar of Instruction. The last time we entered the Nectar was 6 months ago. And
Really?
6 months in the summer. And we're speculating that we're on text 3 now. So we're just going to carry on from text 3 as if nothing happened.
Text 3.
And that's, I guess, the beauty of these books is you can always pick them up. It doesn't matter how long you may drop the book for a lifetime or two. But then when you do pick it up, it's like you never left. That was the first time I read a Bhagavad Gita. It was exactly like that. It was like, actually it was very interesting. Like, the first day I read it, I read the introduction, blew my mind. The next day I picked it up and I refused to read the purports because I was like, oh, this is probably where the brainwashing takes place. So I skipped over the purports, but I read the texts. And I read through the whole text. It took me like 3 hours, but like somewhere in the middle of it, I had this like flash of like, oh, I've read this before. And it was like almost like a flash, like I was reading it by candlelight. Like it was like a...
Do you know what text it was on?
What, in the Bhagavad Gita? Oh yeah, that could be. It's somewhere around, somewhere within
maybe
the
next life
7.
I'll remember it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that, but maybe I speculate that means that I must have read it by candlelight at some point. There was a few flashes. It was like candlelight in a jungle. You know,
Oh,
like,
what you had flashes of yourself
like,
reading it with by candlelight.
Yeah, like
in a jungle.
reading it in some previous life potentially. Like it was like boop 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 boop, boop. And I was like, whoa, what the heck was that?
What was that noise?
It didn't make. It was like, it was
Was
like
that the drums?
No, that was the sound of me breaking through the time-space continuum.
Oh yeah, I know that sound. Oh yeah. That old sound.
Yeah, the galactic sound of the angels.
Yeah,
but
Intergalactic Court of Elders. What's it called?
The what do you call it? The Council of Elders.
Council of Elders.
The Galactic Council of Elders.
Was that when you spoke to them?
No, that was a different time.
That was a different time.
That's for a different time for a different podcast. Yeah, get the council on.
Yeah. Hello. We are from the Intergalactic Council. And the special podcast, the special guest at today's podcast is the...
Zorgon!
Yeah. I am Zorgon.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. The point is, though, I reckon these books are... our relationship with these books potentially spans beyond this one life. So Nectar of Instruction, if you're not familiar, is... Gopala? Do you want to explain what the Nectar of Instruction is?
I'm just tired this morning.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah. It's because I got back. We got back really late last night. We went to see the farm. Went to see Sita Ram. And
farm.
went to meet the cows that we get the ahimsa, slaughter-free, violent-free milk from. It was really good, actually. We were thinking about... I'm sure I could speak about it on this podcast because...
It's an update.
Yeah, maybe... Yeah, I don't know if I'm really revealing anything secret, but I think it's back on. I think we really want to get land, you know. I think after the next big T. Krishna project, then working with Sita Ram and the Ahimsa Foundation and like sort of the... Yeah. What do you call it? Like... You know, not just slaughter-free milk, but actually the whole thing of just living off the grid and growing our own food and creating our own sort of natural food forests, and but the big thing is training people up to become farmers. So that's something for the future. Maybe so the mapped out is, okay, within 5 years we want at least a couple people trained up to start, and they'll be trained up by the farmers and Sitaram and the people they already have. Anyway, so it was like a whole thing. We discussed a few different things, but I think to next step in ISKCON Wales in the future is, okay, yeah, let's build T Krishna, and then let's expand our community by creating a place where you can grow food off the ground and look after the cows and show people a way of simple living, high thinking. So anyway, so we was up in Leicester, so we drove up to Leicester, and we were meeting there all day and came back late last night.
They grow a lot of different food in Leicester.
Sorry?
They grow a lot of different food in Leicester.
I don't know, they showed us some of the stuff that they were growing, but to me it all looked dead, I don't know.
Winter though, isn't it?
So yeah, I didn't know much. I don't know anything. So yeah, it's interesting. They have these I got a picture of it. What's it called? Like it takes all the methane and stuff from the cows and turns it into fuel, something like that.
Oh.
Big machines.
Yeah. So we can hook you up, Bhakta-rupa, you probably. All the lights go really bright, like.
Just stick a pipe into my bedroom.
Yeah.
And like fuel the whole of Cardiff.
It's over flooding.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that type of thing seems really important for like the whole, what do you call it, Varnashram lifestyle, because it is tough. It seems tough to like do Krishna consciousness and then work a really like materialistic job. I know I've spoken to people that do struggle with that balance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're working on a farm, looking after Krishna's cows, it seems a little bit more connected, because that's what they've got in Hungary, isn't it? Like a whole village of people that are practicing Krishna consciousness at all the different ages. So like here we've got the brahmacharis sorted out already, isn't it? Like the monks. So it seems like that's a good step towards getting the grihastas more connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
With having them looking after cows and things like that.
Yeah, and even just setting, so a place where you could be. I don't know. You want to arrange human life, like human civilization, so it's easy as possible to practice spiritual life, and that principle of simple living, high thinking, which we've talked about in this Nectar of Instruction. And I think, it's just okay. Yeah, if we want to. We can't just talk about the perfect society. Let's just create it and set an example. People might say, okay, you talk so much about spiritual life and living spiritually, and also talk about like simple living and how humans are meant to be, and this materialistic civilization, so not good for human life. Well, show us something better. You're just going to sit around and talk about it all the time. So we don't want to just talk about. We want to discuss it, talk about the real science of practicing bhakti, but then also show how you live materially. Like you were reading just now, Nectar of Instruction, to cultivate nescience and science, so material and spiritual, both at the same time. You can't just be spiritual and forget about everything material, or be material and forget about everything spiritual, but can you do both parallel? And so you can live comfortably, happily, and also fulfill the goal of human life at the same time.
Yeah, that seems like, because we've spoken about that before, just in general, in the temple, like our whole philosophy is actually practicing what you preach. Like you have the prayojana, was it Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana? So you have the theoretical knowledge, you practice it, Abhideya, and then you get the realization that it's true. So not only for setting an example for the rest of the world, we should have a farm, but we should prove it to ourselves that the philosophy is true, like actually practice what you preach, and then what you preach becomes more powerful because you've realized it. Vigyan, isn't it? So yeah, it's like the philosophy is real. If you start applying it into your life, that's when it starts becoming alive, because anyone can sit in their armchair and read a book. Not so hard. Everyone in Oxford does it, isn't they?
It was so mind-blowing going to Hungary for the first time as such a new devotee, and seeing that actually the the civilization behind Prabhupada's books made it become a lot more real for me. Gave me so much confidence that we can have a world of devotees.
And they're not acting either. Those Hungarian devotees, they're like actually they're in some other realm over there.
I mean, we were speaking to one of the people looking after the cows yesterday, and it was like special. Like, so it takes such a special kind of person who, like tell from speaking to him, he was a devotee, and like that was really his dharma. His propensity was like he loved looking after those cows. Like he loved those cows, and those cows loved him. Like he'd say sometimes they'd like just fall asleep on his lap, and they were huge. And I would ask him, like, how do you get these cows to do anything, and especially the bulls? How do you get them to listen to you at all? He was just some like skinny devotee, and these bulls were like, they're the back of, they were huge, and the cows were huge, and the back of the bull, like the shoulders of the bulls, was like above head height. And how do you get them to listen to you at all? And he said, well, it's all about. He said, if you got to make them think you're in charge, sort of thing. You got to be in charge. And it's like he said it's like a type of attitude thing, Like you say, no, this is the way it's meant to be. Anyway, you could see he had like this he said it's all about relationship. And he had such a nice relationship with the cows, and that he was showing. We saw a cow there that was one of the milking cows, and she just gives milk, and she's never had a calf. It's this idea of like so he was saying she just started to feel happy. And just started to feel motherly affection, and they've just been milking her. It's this idea of like,
must be some special milk from the virgin cow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, pure.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I'd like a glass of
virgin cow milk.
Yes, please. Put that in your Weetabix. So are we going to read the Nectar of Instruction?
Yeah, let's do it. This is like the idea of
Halfway through
having a virgin milk. That's such a weird thing. Like,
Okay, text 3. Utsaha nishchaya darya tat karma pravartana sangha chaga sato vrte sadbir bhakti prasiditi. There are 6 principles favourable to the execution of pure devotional service. Number 1, being enthusiastic. Number 2, endeavouring with confidence. Number 3, being patient. Number 4, acting according to the regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting and remembering Krishna. 5, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Jai.
Nice. Should we go through the purport?
Yeah.
Or is this episode getting released as like a...
As an episode.
Yeah, or is this just... I mean, because those who aren't familiar with where we've gone so far in Nectar of Instruction might be...
Well...
So these are 6 items that are favourable for spiritual life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being enthusiastic, endeavouring with confidence, being patient. So let me this is the purport by Srila Prabhupada. I think we should read a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. So it's a science. I just go over, right? This morning I listened I listened to a interview. Someone said, "Oh, does God exist?" And the person's obviously goes, "Yes." And then they go, "Is there proof that God exists?" And they go, "No." And that fried me out a little bit because I was like, "No, you can prove that God exists." And I went on my whole rant. I was lying there. I was in bed this morning. And I was like, there's like imaginary arguments. So I was like sitting there for ages saying, no, I should have said this and I should say that to him and so should that. I went through a whole like dialogue in my head, like because it's a science. Yeah, you can prove God exists. It's been proven. Not all scientific proof is objective in the fact that it is objective in the fact that everyone can perform the experiment for themselves and verify it for themselves. So you can prove God exists. You just have to perform the experiment.
But you can't prove it.
Can you even prove it through logic?
You can't prove anything through logic.
Why is that?
Because I can refute your logic. The price to refute your logic, though, is my denying your premise. So you could say, like, all men are human. Well, how do you know all men are mortal? How do you know all men are mortal? Have you met all men? You know what I mean? So I can argue with you. But so you could say, like, well, I think everything is designed. Well, I don't think everything's designed. You know what I mean? So your argument is, your premise is the price they have to pay in order to disagree with you.
It's like I think, therefore I am. It's like you have to at least accept that you're a person.
Yeah, so I've spoken to people who I've said, okay, well, at least let's start. At least you can admit you're conscious.
How do I know I'm conscious?
And they say, I'm not conscious. I say, okay, well, if I'm not speaking to someone who's conscious, then
see you later.
What's the point? So anyway, through logic is one thing, but real proof, and ultimately, if you want to prove something like God, then logic will only go so far. But ultimately, the nature of Krishna is that you have to. This is the way to understand him. Bhakti Mama Vajananti, you have to perform this experiment. He can't be understood just through logic.
But then, I guess by that argument, you can't prove that God exists to someone that doesn't want to believe that he exists. Like you need that like surrender and attempt at love just to get into the door.
Yeah, well, I can have a chocolate cake. I can. What's the where and what do you consider proof? If you have complete faith in me and believe that I say, okay, this is chocolate, and I put chocolate in this cake, then if your faith is invested in the right person, then it's like, okay, yeah, well, you are right. You don't know for yourself, but you have so much faith in me that you've come to the right conclusion, but you haven't tasted the chocolate cake for yourself. So if you want to really verify for yourself, then faith will be in there. Say, okay, this is God. This is how to understand him. This is what human life is for. But to verify it for yourself, then you have to taste the cake. You have to use your senses. Hrishikeena Hrishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. You have to engage your senses in spiritual activity, in service to Krishna.
Kind of what we're saying. You need the practice to get the realization.
Yes, like Prabhupada says, this purpose. It's not a matter of just sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. I believe in God, therefore I have some feeling. But you say its substance is practical activity. And its substance is practical activity. Like we say Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is a verb. Is that a verb? A doing word?
Yeah.
So you have nouns, verbs, and adjectives, isn't it? So a verb is a doing word is a verb, right? So bhakti or love isn't just like a feeling; it's a
doing.
It's a doing word. It's an activity. Sort of like hey, I would have said that to you. You know what I mean? Like somebody's going to imagine an argument with someone in the shower, and hey, shut up, Chris. I remember my friends did that. Yeah. One of my best mates, he came to school. He just started hating me in the morning. I said, "What's all this?" He said, "Sorry, I just had this imaginative argument with you. And you annoyed me so much, that it manifested in a..." Anyway.
I saw a video of some woman that kicked her husband out of her house because he cheated on her in the dream. She's like throwing his stuff out the window. And he's like, "What? It was a dream. I don't care. You cheated." She's like throwing all his stuff out the window. Yeah, practical.
Yeah. We try and get something from this word. If I break down this word down.
Practic.
Practical. Anyway, just carry on.
Definition.
Oh
wait, Peter's pulling up some facts here.
Practical.
Pull that up, Jamie.
I've got no internet, sorry.
No internet.
Just read something.
That's so impractical.
What does practice mean?
Practice.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT.
Okay. Practice, the definition of practice is the actual application or use
Of an idea, belief, or method.
as opposed to theories relating to it, or the customary, habitual, or expected procedure or way of doing something.
Say it again.
So the first one is the actual application or use of an idea, belief,
Uh-huh.
or method, as opposed to theories relating to it. What does that last part mean then? As opposed to theories relating to it.
Instead
Just
of,
out of the realm of theorizing.
seems like instead of just being in that armchair philosophizing, you're actually on the farm milking the cows, or in the temple room.
Well,
chanting
anything
Hare
that you put it
Krishna.
into practice, you know? Like, you could talk about the theory of jiu-jitsu, but put it into practice.
Then you get the realization. You get the muscle memory or whatever.
Yeah, it's like anything. And, and again, cooking is a good example. You could just sit and read a cookbook and invite your friends over and just read the cookbook and discuss the cookbook. I'd say, well, I've had a bit of this or a bit of that. But there's a completely different experience. Like, no one does that. It's not many people sit down and just read, the cookbook. It's meant for cooking. Get your ingredient, and then eventually you get, like earlier on, there's a Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. These are Sanskrit terms meaning knowledge of the relationship, acting in that relationship. So knowledge of the relationship, acting with that knowledge, and then the result you get from acting. So there's a chair, Sambandha of the chair. Okay, I'd sit on the chair. How to sit on the chair? Abhideya, sitting on the chair, and Prayojana, the experience of sitting on a chair, what it does. So everything has those three elements to it. Not just spiritual life, but watering a plant, I don't know, like milking a cow, doing gardening, playing Pokemon. You know what I mean? Everything has knowledge of how to interact in the game, interacting, and then the result, the taste, the flavor you get from performing that activity.
I guess you have different Bhakti texts, yoga texts, which are based on different aspects of this. So the Bhagavad Gita is Sambandha Jnana, like it teaches you what's the soul, who's Krishna. Like it took a lot about the world and the knowledge. I find like this Nectar of Instruction is very much on the Abhideya, isn't it? It's like practical, how to apply this, but then at the end of Nectar of Instruction, it's all Prayojana stuff about Krishna and Radha and Vrindavan and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's so many ways you could look at it.
I always remember Abhideya, which means practice, practical, as Happy Days, Abhideya.
And how does that help? That guy in Cardiff.
Yeah, he used to go around.
Happy Days.
Happy Days, Abhideya. It's just so I can remember the term, like practice. Happy
Okay, well,
days.
if any of our listeners find that helpful.
Please write in.
Happy Days.
Abhideya.
Abhideya.
I bet they remember that. Come up to me and say Abhideya, so that you can prove that you've learnt it.
That's the secret code word of today's podcast.
Abhideya. Happy Days.
The first person who comes up to Bhakta-rupa and says that, he'll give you a tenner.
Will I? I'll give you a Nectar Instruction.
Yeah. Okay.
Copy of
That means you always got to carry one on you.
Yeah. Okay. I heard about there's like a Swami in ISKCON that he studied the Nectar Instruction for like 10 years. I forgot his name. But he had like around his neck, like a little pouch. So he'd just walk around with the Nectar Instruction in a pouch around his neck. I'd like that.
That's
like a
you should
medallion.
get your pouch. Yeah.
Like a little, like an ID card, but it's just my Nectar Instruction there.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Okay.
You could have just got a Kindle or a phone. Or
I should have. I don't know what to get you for Christmas now.
what, in 12 months?
Yeah. Phew. Right.
Srila Rupa Goswami.
Yeah, I think we should carry on reading this per book 'cause it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sri Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasa Rita Sindhu, this is all about the science of the different, has defined devotional service as follows. Anabalasa Sita Sunyam, Gyanakamari Navritam, Anukalina Krishna, Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. Uttama Bhakti, or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So unalloyed is a metal that's not mixed with any other metals, right? So it's pure. Unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. So that's the definition of pure spiritual love for Krishna. This is the definition of bhakti. So it says that, there's certain things that it's not. So, you can define something by what it's not. So it's not, it doesn't have any materialistic motivation. It doesn't have any desire for liberation or empiric knowledge, like gyan, and it's pleasing to Krishna. That's one of the qualities that it is. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as some pseudo-yogis teach. Such idle meditation may be good for those who have no information of devotional service, and for this reason it is sometimes recommended as a way to check distracting materialistic activities. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being. Devotional service, however, not only puts an end to all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engages one in meaningful devotional activities. And then he goes on to list, okay, what are those devotional activities? And then he goes on to list this verse which numbers the activities of bhakti specifically. But any thoughts on that so far?
Just the idea of cultivation, like if you are growing crops, it's not going to be very good if you just sit there and look at the field. Like, you actually have to go out there, plant the seeds, water the seeds, spray fertilizer all over them, or anti-pesticides, and
it's
like,
so that's like a good example. So here, what Prabhupada's saying, if it was a gardening book, it would be like, okay, you should cultivate your crops. Some gardening books will say, don't don't do this, don't do that. Keep it away from wild animals. We'll fence it off in order to protect it. You know what I mean? But obviously, focusing on just those things, like the protecting your crops from danger, is one thing. But there's also the activity of watering it and taking care of it and trimming it and stuff like that.
It's like avoiding things which are hurting your Krishna consciousness, as well as practicing things which are helping it.
Exactly.
It's
so
like
here Prabhupada's saying...
two-sided, like...
Yeah. So here he's saying, sometimes it's not just sitting down and meditating and not doing any activity. Sometimes spiritual life is misinterpreted like that.
That's gutting when you first hear that, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I always wanted that. Because I'm mode of ignorance, like lazy guy. I just wanted spiritual life to be like, okay, yeah, now we can unplug from society and we don't have to do it. But then you find out that actually you have to do more than you ever did before. You have to get up early.
You're busier than...
But it turns out good. It pulls you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there is both there. Like another example is you have a diseased... if you are diseased, you'll be told, okay, you can't eat certain foods. You shouldn't, okay, you should stay inside, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do these activities, don't go to work today, etc. But those are the activities while you're sick. But when you're well, then you do eat food, you do what you do, you know what I mean? So it's some people, sometimes spiritual life is misinterpreted as, or it focus is too much given on the emphasis of not doing material activities.
Like
but spiritual life is more than that.
Like the silent retreats they do, it's a similar thing with stopping talking to avoid all nonsensical talk, but then
Prabhupada's saying though, it's good, isn't it?
It's useful for the time being, and that's why people get benefit. They feel like they've benefited somewhat from it.
But you can't last.
You're not, you might stop doing yourself any harm or stop doing others harm, but you're not getting better, you're not doing. So someone argued with Prabhupada was giving a talk on a discourse on bhakti and the activities of devotion, and then someone said, "Oh, why you're talking all the time? You're talking about spiritual life, but actually, someone who's realized they don't talk at all. Just like a full pot. If it's full, it doesn't make any noise when the wind goes through it. But if it's empty, so if you're full, then you don't speak anything." And Prabhupada said, "That's very good. Your philosophy is that someone who is knowledgeable should not speak. Our philosophy is that someone who is spiritually realized, they talk all the time, but they just talk about Krishna and spiritual activities. He said, so I'll follow my philosophy, you follow yours, and you be quiet, and I'll carry on speaking.
It's amazing, really. It's a complete picture. It feels like it's like revealing the bit that was there. Like, people are like, okay, yeah, don't engage in material life. Everyone's kind of figured that out.
But what else do you do?
But what else? And then you read the Bhagavad Gita or some of the Krishna conscious books, and it's like, you don't engage in material things and do all this stuff instead. Like, it gives you the actual, the positive alternative.
Otherwise, you end up like those Buddhists in that Christspiracy documentary.
Oh,
where they're interviewing them. Have you seen that?
No.
You've seen those.
You keep trying to shoehorn. You're shoehorning this.
No. I was just like, they sit and they're in there in their robes and everything. They're trying to be very renounced, and they say, "Oh, I don't, yeah, we don't eat meat. I don't cause any violence. If I was walking through the desert, starving to death, and I saw a rabbit, I would not touch that rabbit with a stick. I would leave it." And you think, okay, yeah, these guys are quite non-violent. But then they say, "Yeah, but then he starts talking about having a feast the other day and like eating sausages and the other ones were talking about like skinning some meat for their friends and stuff, and they would say, "Oh yeah, that's fine. If someone else kills it, and I just buy it from the shop, then that's fine." So they're all eating meat. These people who are interviewed,
they just won't get their hands dirty.
They just, he kills them.
Yeah.
Because his intention is to kill. My intention is just to eat. So he kills it, I eat it, no problem. He gets the karma, I don't. Which is so stupid. So they have no knowledge of karma, like basic knowledge of karma.
There's no karma information in the Buddhist texts, is there?
Buddhists don't even believe in the soul.
Right.
They're anatma. They don't believe in the existence of the soul. Like there's a video clip of the Dalai Lama speaking to, I think
the Dalai Lama isn't even vegetarian.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
There's a video of him speaking to an ISKCON devotee, and he's saying, we believe in anatma, you believe in atma. And he was like chuckling, you believe in the soul. So yeah, you got to be careful. Really, like Buddhism is kind of like materialism. Like it's matter. They're like atheists.
Yeah, well, things get degraded, don't they?
Yeah.
So like Srila Prabhupada said, okay, if you want to be a Buddhist, then be a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Buddha was extremely renounced. And Buddha did not eat meat. So if you're going to be a Buddhist, follow Buddha.
Yeah.
Do what he did. But like I knew a devotee who used to be a Buddhist, and he was saying they were vegetarian apart from when they had to go to the job center to get their money. That's how they maintained themselves being Buddhist. And then they'd all go to the cafe and have like a full English breakfast with sausages and bacon. And
why? Why though? It doesn't even seem right, does it?
Yeah, I think it's just it's sad, because you want people to be happy. I want a Buddhist to be a Buddhist but practice Buddhism properly. It's sad that, and you get the same thing with Hinduism and people who masquerade as, okay, this is spiritual life, and then
it's a shame, really.
Cheat innocent people.
I guess, yeah, because the artwork is so cool. Like the whole imagery of it's amazing.
So nice.
Like Buddhism, but I was just thinking then when
you said deities and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of Buddhist imagery, I just pretty attracted to it. And also like Christian stuff too, like the paintings of Jesus and whatnot. Stained glass. But yeah, what were you saying about
even the cathedrals? They're the most amazing buildings
Fantastic.
In the whole city.
Awe and reverence, isn't it? Like Buddhism, the imagery of the Buddhist stuff seems to be very like plain in a good way. Like almost like simple and renounced of this world, whereas the Christian stuff seems very awe and reverence, opulence, big glass windows. It's like interesting how the architecture, whatever, matches their philosophy. I don't know why. No,
I mean, when I was in Kerala, there's a little place and it's called Little Rome.
Oh, really?
And
Catholic.
I was surprised because I was there for an Ayurvedic medical, so you expect, but there was just Catholicism everywhere. But all the temples, they looked, so like the culture was still like Indian temples, and there was deities everywhere because obviously Indian culture's just been so familiar with deities for thousands of years. So there was I never, and I grew up Catholic, but obviously you never saw so much like this is Saint Michael and this is Saint such and such.
Oh, there's more deities than usual.
Everywhere, just like there'd be demigod worship
in India.
It was this, but it was all deities of like saints, and monks and stuff like that.
That's
and,
awesome.
and they were beautiful. They were beautifully carved out of like marble and things like that. And there was temples everywhere. They looked like temples, but they were actually churches. Yeah, and they were everywhere. And if you go to India, everyone on their dashboard has like Ganesh or Krishna. It's like every car, they have their own deity on the dashboard. There, every car had Jesus or their own personal like saint on the dashboard.
That's awesome.
So it's interesting how it's the same sort of like cultural thing, but it'd been,
It's a pious place, isn't it? Like, so
is it?
they can actually. I remember round the corner from Soho Street Temple, Hare Krishna Temple. There's a Catholic church, and we walked in there, and I was like, "These amazing deity of Francis of Assisi." Like as you walk in, I was like, "Damn, these guys are doing deity worship."
Damn.
And there was people cleaning the church. I was like, "This is Bhakti. Like this is Shivigraha."
Yeah. And that's actually a good point, because that's what we're reading in Nectar of Instruction. Prabhupada isn't saying like, oh, this is the particular religion you should follow. He's saying, no, this is spiritual life. This is what Bhakti is, or devotion. So unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord. And then the next part in the purport, he lists these items that chanting God's names and rendering active service to God like that. So you can
cleaning and cooking and
exactly. And any that might take a different form, but wherever the religion is where you see that, then okay, that's devotion. So that's like when Jesus said you judge a true tree by its fruit, not by the tree. So you don't say, okay, this is that religion, this is wrong, and this is the right religion, but you've got to be a bit more intuitive than that. You got to understand, okay, what is real religion? So like if you get milk, if you keep adding water to it, you'll get with something that looks like milk. But if you know what milk is, you taste it, you'll be like, oh no, that's not it. So after some time, you might get religion that gets so watered down. Eventually, you're left with something that looks like Buddhism, or looks like it. But if someone who knows what it really is tastes it, like, oh no, that's not it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like this temple here, T Krishna, it's like a little enclave amidst the material energy, and it's like this little outpost in Maya. But you've got like really powerful guards that will protect it, like Taraknath. Like if he sees someone that's doing something which is kind of sliding towards not being on the scriptures, he'll straight away say, you shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. And like for the person, that might be like, oh, that's horrible. Why would he say that? But in the long run, he's protecting the whole. Because otherwise, you do end up, going for a full English breakfast after the Sunday program, or whatever. Like, and
that's exactly where when again this documentary, but you just think when Jesus goes into the place called the Den of Thieves, and he it's called a Den of Thieves in the book, but then it was meant to be like a synagogue or some sort of temple, and he goes in and he kicks up the tables,
frees the chickens, doesn't he?
Yeah, he frees the chickens and the animals.
Haribo!
Because in the original. It's not the den it's the den of murderers. And it's actually described this place where they would sell animals for sacrifice, and they would have like gutters or a whole drainage system just for the blood, the amount of blood that was there when they were killing all the animals. And Jesus was so furious with this that he'd freeze the animals, and that was one of the things that helped start the domino effect of eventually when he got crucified. So this idea of someone who's this eventually something it's meant to be religious, but it turns into something that's so the opposite that it takes someone who actually knows in order to say, no, this is completely wrong, and to point it out, even though you might think that you're doing the right thing,
and even though you might get killed for it. You might get that's the whole thing with Jesus, isn't it? He sacrificed. He's a real proper deal. He's a real deal. Like he didn't care. He's a Chad, as they say these days.
A Chad,
I think that's what it's called.
Is that what I knew? Or a Sigma? Is that?
I called you a Sigma. Gopal's a Sigma male.
Sigma.
You have alpha male, which is like the ruler of the roost. Beta males, they fall under the alpha, and the Sigma is just like a lone wolf. He doesn't care.
Thanks.
He doesn't care. What's the definition of Sigma male?
I'm trying to find it now.
It's very important to the podcast. Yeah. But Gopal's totally a Sigma.
Write that down.
But what's a Chad? I think Jesus is Chad.
I thought Chad was a...
So it's... Okay.
Go on, Peter, speaking to the mic.
So a sigma male is a slang term used...
It's got a picture of me next to it.
Yeah, what did they
Google.
In masculinist subculture. For
Emasculinist. What?
It means like...
I can't hear Peter. Am I going deaf?
He's plugged into a different little thing over there.
Another term for a sigma male is a lone wolf. I think that just sums it up pretty well.
Thanks, mate.
A Chad.
I don't want to be a lone wolf, though.
It's a Greek.
No, you're not. You're not
Right,
alone.
I want to have friends.
You do have
But
friends.
it means you can hold your, if you were in a situation where you had to go, on your own for a while, and you could
I don't
stay
think
strong.
I can.
Here we go. It means a popular, successful, and highly independent, self-reliant man.
I'm not that, though.
I know. I sent you a different definition, and it was you.
Yeah.
It's funny how a language changes and warps and contorts as well. Loads of new words with these young whippersnappers which are bumping around. When you get in your 30s, all these teenagers, they come up with these funny...
Yeah.
Hopefully in 20 years they'll be able to understand these books that we're reading, eh?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. What's your take on that then, Gopala? If the language of the world changes so much that these just become old English, like Prabhupada's words become too old,
Sorry, I mean, one of my spiritual teachers said, like, just like you translate into another language, like French or something.
Yeah.
If the language becomes so different, so like if something's really bad, that means it's good.
Yeah.
If something's really sick, it means that it's really... Then you might have to actually translate it. But most likely is you might have you have annotated. What's the word? Shakespeare. You have like annotations at the bottom.
Oh really? Yeah.
So we read Shakespeare's plays, and at the bottom there might be like things that help you understand the words or whatever. But the actual spiritual content it was relatable 5,000 years ago. It was relatable 500 years ago. They're reading the same books.
Yeah.
In late 1960s, 1970s, when the Hare Krishna movement exploded, it's the same books that they were reading then, and the same books that we pick up and read now and change our lives. So,
can I just make a correction? Jesus wasn't a Chad, because Chad apparently means an alpha or a sexually successful man. So
okay.
I take back that blasphemy.
Yeah, the back group just got cancelled.
But what I meant to say was he's based. That's the
more
word.
like a sigma.
Is it?
He's more like a...
Based means established, grounded, or focused on a specific principle or belief. He's based.
He's based.
Like people, when I was making this YouTube channel with the RuneScape Hare Krishna, people call me based because it's like this guy's playing his game, but he doesn't care. Like he's just preaching Hare Krishna. You know what I mean? Like they're like,
So they understood you were transcendental to the
the
game.
old, to the game. They're like, this old school monk. He's based. Like he's not playing the same.
Where's
game.
that come from?
He hasn't come here like us. He's not conditioned.
But the problem was when I started playing that game, I became less and less based. I just became one of them.
The
I was just like,
contamination of the
Okay, so today we're going to be doing this training method on the game. Oh yeah, we're supposed to talk about philosophy in this video. Sorry. See you later.
it's like you get caught by the environment, isn't it? And that's what it says in this verse that we just read. You have to avoid non-devotees, or you have to avoid people that aren't really interested in the spiritual life, because otherwise you just become like them.
Yeah, abandon. It says like abandon. So you just abandon the association.
What's the word abandon come from? Peter, look that.
This is the
Okay.
dictionary channel.
Welcome to the dictionary podcast.
Okay, we have to get a bit quicker. Abandon. Cease to support or look after someone.
Where's it come from?
Ooh,
When it says like
Yeah, the
late Middle English.
I don't know.
Latin.
I'll have to.
Indo-European.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Sorry.
yeah.
Should get a dictionary for next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a conclusion I got to playing on the game. Is that I've got to abandon this. If I wanna help my spiritual life, I got to get off this game. And I did, and there was an almost immediate reciprocation. So if there's that thing in your life, if you're listening, and there's something that you know you should give up, there's something that's getting in the way, and you know it, and it's obvious, and it's screaming in your face, just give it up. Masuchaha. Like, yeah, those little jumps of surrender are actually nectar. Like, it's a real blessing to have an opportunity to surrender something so gross, something so obvious, something that you're attached to, and you just give it up. And when you do, Krishna will be pleased. Like,
Even business people say that, like, oh, you got to hang around with the people who,
Yeah.
you know, and also that, yeah, like the idea of that positive, like you could have this idea, like you have positive procrastination. You know, procrastination, you can think, okay, that's not a good thing. But if you procrastinate on the bad things, you know, it's okay to like it's okay to give up. You know, it's okay to procrastinate. You know, if you got something like that's wrong that you do, just use procrastination. So I'll just do that later.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do it later.
Haridas
I
Thakura.
want to, you know.
I want to eat meat. Do it later.
Yeah.
I want to have illicit sex. Just do it later.
Trying to, okay, I'm trying to become free from, not drink alcohol.
Do it later.
And your urges and your mind and senses say, yeah, you should go to the pub, you should have a drink. Okay, I'll do that, but I'll do that later. I can't be bothered now. The effort that takes, I'll just not do that,
Yeah.
So you could use procrastination.
Yeah, your mind's a bit
But like
stupid.
Haridas Thakura, he says,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I'll do that later, but first just let me do this thing,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
actually takes you away from that
Yeah.
other thing,
Yeah, that's the good
So-
story, isn't it? Haridas Thakura.
We did a play.
We should.
It was on the BBC.
Oh, we did do the play, innit? Kaylee was the prostitute.
Yeah.
There was this great saint called Haridas Thakura, who's known as the Namacharya. He's known for chanting Hare Krishna. He'd chant 200,000 names of Hare Krishna, which is like 175 rounds, 176 rounds every day. This is hardcore chanter. And there's a prostitute. There's like some guy that's against him, isn't it? Who's against him?
Ramachandra Khan.
Ramachandra Khan. He's like,
We did the play for Rath Yatra. I played Ramachandra Khan.
who is he then?
And we had a whole dance set up
Oh yeah.
of going
was
to
my
Michael
first-
Jackson's Bad with another
Daichari.
two of the monks
Was it
who were meant to be
Daichari?
my followers. Yeah, doing choreographed dancing. Like if no one's ever been to Rath Yatra, this play is unbelievable. Forget Wicked or whatever. This is the one.
I was there.
Yeah.
Changed my life. It was my first Rath Yatra. And Bamshi was Haridas Thakura, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ramachandra Khan, he would anyway, he didn't like Haridas Thakura.
He didn't like the Hare Krishna. He didn't like the whole thing, didn't it?
Yeah. It was it's a lot of, yeah.
But anyway, he gets the idea that I'm gonna topple him.
So he sends a prostitute. He says, this prostitute go and try and seduce this monk. So then everyone can see that actually he's not so
Exactly.
realized anymore. This happened. One of the devotees was out on in Gloucester,
Yeah.
and he was out distributing books. And
From Wales.
he was in Wales at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And there was it was like a hidden camera TV show.
Oh my god.
And the woman went up to him, and she was beautiful. And she went to
It's not fair.
court on. Yes, you always got to be careful.
It's just
You
not
never
fair.
know who's watching. So and now that two stories are coming to mind. So I don't know if I'm mixing them up. But anyway, she goes to him and tries to seduce him. She says, "Look, I've been looking out that window, and she's stunning. Yeah. I've been looking out that window. I've been seeing you trying to give people these religious books, and I wouldn't mind you just come in with me for a little bit, and we can lay down together and have sex or whatever, And but the devotees, he just goes, Krishna, and then he runs away as fast as he can.
What a nerd. No, I'm joking.
So you gotta be careful. Whoever, you never know who's watching.
But yeah. So Chandrakanta Khan.
Now that I say that, Peter, I have this. The
Wait.
following is an audio clip from.
From Sankatan in Neath. Last Wednesday.
Yeah. Hello, Jemima.
I'm Jemima.
Jemima.
I don't know. Can we finish Haridas Thakura? Because people have never heard Haridas Thakura.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So yeah, Chandrakanta Khan sends
Ramachandra Khan.
sends a prostitute to Haridas Thakura, and Haridas Thakura, I think he's sat in a cave, and he's just chanting, absorbed in his mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We should enact it. Hari Rama, Hari Rama.
He's on his own, isn't he?
Rama, Hari Hari. You have to be the prostitute. Or Peter could
I'm
be
the
good.
I can be prostitute. Yeah, okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
That's the door
Hare
knocking.
Rama, Rama, Rama. Hello? Come in.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
My name is... What's the name of the prostitute, Peter? Do you remember?
Jemima.
Jemima.
Hare Krishna, Jemima.
And,
Please accept my humble obeisances, so close to Srila Prabhupada.
I would like to know if you would like to enjoy with me.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yes, I would like to enjoy with you.
Fantastic.
But first let me finish my prescribed number of rounds. Please sit down and chant with me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
what's
Krishna
this
Krishna,
plant?
Hare
Is this a
Hare,
Tulsi
Hare Rama.
plant?
Yes.
Oh,
Hare
I'll
Krishna,
sit
Hare
next to
Krishna,
this Tulsi plant.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare.
What are you, Peter?
He's the passing of time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, it's midnight. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
You
Krishna.
have an owl in your room.
Oh,
Oh, what was that noise?
Jemima,
It's a jackal.
Jemima.
Yes, sorry.
Would you look at the time?
I'll just... How?
I'm
How do I look at time? This is 500 years ago.
The sun.
Sundial.
The sun has risen.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I have not been able to enjoy with you this evening because I have been chanting my rounds. So please come again tomorrow.
I'll come back tomorrow.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
That's me walking right. Close the door.
Close the door.
Did they have doors 500 years ago?
I think he's
Yes,
in a
they-
cave. So
Was he in a cave?
in the picture he is.
Is he?
Yeah. Or there's two. There's one where Maya.
Peter's giving like a squinty-eyed look. Don't think he was in
It's
a
true
cave.
actually. There's two. There's
picture.
one picture when Maya Devi comes to him,
Yeah, that's
he's
in
in
a
a
cave.
cave.
That's in a cave.
but this one he's in a hut,
He's in a hut. Yeah,
and
I
there's a
think
tulsi
so.
plant outside. Anyway, long story short, this happens
Next
a few
day.
times.
Yeah, okay,
We
go
can't.
ahead.
We can't do the whole play because
Yeah.
it's not
Spoil
BBC
it.
Radio 4.
Yeah, go on.
But but the long story. Maybe we should do the whole play.
What's that? I am Zordon from the Intergalactic Council of Elders.
This is the most.
In the future, there will be a boy called Bhakta-rupa.
Anyway, so the prostitute, she comes back the next day, and Haridas says, "Yeah, after I've chanted my rounds, so on and so forth." And after, was it 3 or 4 days, she becomes purified
From listening to the chanting. so
from
much.
listening to his pure chanting. That she eventually leaves her profession, shaves her head off, and sits
Shaves
there.
her head off.
Yeah.
I don't need this anymore.
But yeah, she shaves her hair off, and she takes to chanting Hare Krishna full time. And
Wow.
but the main reason we brought this up is because of what Gopala was saying about when your mind comes up with something that it wants you to do, like, oh yeah, you should go and do this. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow after. I'll do it later after I've finished chanting, or after I've done this.
Positive procrastination.
Oh yeah. Just give me a second, and then eventually your mind will become purified, and it will sit there and chant with you,
Yeah.
and that's the dream.
Thank you, Bhakta-rupa. That was a nice note to end the podcast on.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Bhakta-rupa, and we'll see everyone next episode. Hare Krishna.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namah